In the following video, we're going to examine how to graph the function y equals -2x squared minus x minus 15. And we're going to use our graphic calculator for this. We're going to find the vertex and the zeros, graph it, state the solutions, the number of them. And so let's put it in our calculator. Y equals -2x squared minus x minus 15. Now again, it's all based off of trial and error to figure out where our graph window is going to be, what our size is. So if I hit graph right now, I see absolutely nothing. And so here is where we have to kind of examine our function. I can't even use any part of my graph. I can't see, hey, I can see the left side. I can't see anything. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my function. I'm going to examine all the parts of it. So first thing I see is I have a -2x squared. And so this negative tells me the graph is opening downwards. And so if I just sketch, I'm going to have a part coming down to the left, down and to the right, and a vertex. And the other key piece of information is this -15. That -15 is my y-intercept. And right now, I can't see even my y-intercept. I can't see my vertex on my left side. But I know it's opening downwards. And if it were opening downwards and above the x-axis, I would at least have two zeros. I'd see two lines coming down. I can't see anything. So I'm going to go ahead and say that my graph is somewhere below this x-axis, is down here. So for my window size, I'm going to keep, I can't see left or right right now, so I'm going to keep as is my x-min, my x-max, my scale. I can't see anything on my y-minimum, so I'm just going to drastically change this. I'm going to go to -40. My y-max was, well, I say good, I could actually see nothing from it. It's not going to go above it. I'm going to make it 0 though, because I don't need to go above it right now. You want to leave it as 10, you can leave it as 10. And I'm going to make my scale 4. That way I have, 10 marks below the x-axis for it. And so this is my window, viewing window. And I'm going to hit graph and see what happens. So now I see the left side, I see my vertex, and I see the right side. I see a complete graph. I see down to the left, I see my down to the right, and I see my vertex. So that's our graph. Now if I take a look at this, determine the zeros, the x-intercepts of the graph. Now in the previous videos, we've gone and hit second calc, option 0, left bound, right bound, but I need you to realize you're asked to find the zeros, which are the x-intercepts. In the previous videos, we went to our calculator because we saw we had 2 x-intercepts. My question is, how many x-intercepts do you see here? How many times does this graph intersect the x-axis? And there are no x-intercepts. There are none. And what we would say here is we would state this as no real solution. You have to use the word real. And we're going to explain further on into the chapter why we have to state it as real. So no zeros, there are no x-intercepts, so there's no real solutions. And so if I go down next, I want to find my vertex. So remember, to find your vertex, you start with the axis of symmetry. So AOS, axis of symmetry, is x equals -b/2a. And for this problem, our b was -1. So we have the negative of -1 over twice a, which was -2. So negative negative is a positive, and 2 and -2 is 4. So x equals -1/4. Now we take that value and we plug it into our function. Y equals -2x, so -2x squared, minus x minus 15. And the x value I have is a -1/4. And so -2 times -1/4 squared is going to give me a -1/8. Negative negative is a positive, so I get +1/4 minus 15. I could type that in. I'm going to get y equals negative 14.875. And so my vertex for this is negative 1/4, which is negative 0.25, negative 14.875. So we want to sketch a graph using our zeros and our vertex. Now we can't really use our vertex, our zeros. We don't have zeros. There are none. And so for this one, we're just going to sketch based off of what the picture looks like, our vertex, and maybe another point that we find is very useful as well. And so let's grab our vertex. Our vertex was negative 0.25, negative 14.875. So there's my vertex. And let's grab our window size as well for this. So I have my window size and I have my vertex for it. And what I want to do is I want to use that window size and I want to graph it. So negative 10 to 10 for my x min, x max, negative 40, 0 for my y min, y max. So let's just go ahead and label. I'm at negative 10, positive 10. I can go negative 2, negative 4, negative 6, and negative 8. Positive 2, positive 4, positive 6, positive 8. My y min is, negative 40. So I can go down here. Here's negative 40 for my y min. So here's negative 20. Here's negative 10. Here's negative 30. Negative 15, negative 25, negative 35, and negative 5. So my vertex, blue, is negative 0.25. So here's 1. So here's negative 0.25, negative 14.875. So here's negative 15. So negative 14.875 is right here. So I'm going to put my vertex. Now to go down, we can realize our y-intercept was negative 15. So when I sketch my graph, I go down to the right and down to the left. We don't use our zeros because we don't have any. There's no real solutions here. And so this is an example of graphing a quadratic that has no real solutions. You use the vertex opening here downwards for it. Make sure it does not cross the x-axis.